Hello students, good morning all of you. How are you? Now, today we will read about indirect speech for interrogative question sentence. Okay? And in the previous video we have already about how to change indirect speech into direct speech into indirect speech. Okay? Now in this video we will read about what? Indirect speech for interrogative questions sentence. First of all, we need to know how to change direct into indirect. Okay? WH questions and yes or no types of questions. Okay? For changing interrogative questions sentence into indirect speech, we have to observe the nature of questions. The nature of the questions and then change it into indirect speech according its rules for indirect speech. A question can be of two types. One type which can be answered in only yes or no, and other type which needs a little bit explanation for its answer and cannot be answered in only yes or no. Okay? For example, do you like music? Do you like music? It can be answered in yes or no. And how are you? It cannot be answered in yes or no. But it needs a little explanation. What? That is, I am fine. If anybody asks, how are you? Then your answer is, no, I am fine. If you are happy, then I am fine. I am not happy, I am not fine. Okay. So, in this sentence, little bit explanation. Questions which cannot be answered in yes or no. To change question into indirect speech, word if or whether is used before the question in indirect speech. Rules for change in tense of question sentence are same as for in normal tenses in indirect speech. But sentence will not start with the auxiliary verb of the tense. The word, and second thing, the word that is not used between the word that is not used between reporting verb and reported speech as conjunction in indirect speech for question sentence. Number 2 point, and number third and last, question mark is not used in indirect speech. Okay. Now let us see here. I have already told about this. There are two types of questions. First, one type of question can be answered in only yes or no, and other type which needs a little bit explanation. Okay. For example, do you like music? Okay. Do you like music? This is which type of question? It can be answered in yes or no. It can be okay. It can be yes or no. डू यू लाइक म्यूजिक? क्या आप म्यूजिक पसंद करते हो? तो आप इसको यस और नो में भी आंसर दे सकते हो. ओके. डू यू लाइक म्यूजिक? इफ यू लाइक म्यूजिक यू कैन से यस, and you do you not like music, then you can say I am not like music. Okay. And this is first example, and second example is how are you? How are you? It cannot be answered in yes or no. Okay. But it needs a little bit explanation. What? That is what? I am fine. आप इसमें यस और नो में आंसर नहीं दे सकते, आपको इसका आंसर देना है लिटिल बिट एक्सप्लेनेशन। इट मीन्स छोटा सा एक एक्सप्लेन करना है कि आई एम फाइन, एंड दिस इज इट कैन बी आंसर्ड इन यस और नो। इसका आंसर आप यस और नो में दे सकते हैं। आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड ना अबाउट देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ, फर्स्ट yes or no type question and second WH questions. Okay, now let us see the next example in the direct speech. Let us see the example direct speech. He said to me, okay, he said to me, do you like music? Now change into indirect speech. He said to me, do you like music? I have already told that to change question which can be answered in yes or no into indirect speech. Word if or whether is used before the question in indirect speech. Rules for change in tense of question sentence are same as for change in normal tenses. Okay, in indirect speech, but sentence will not start with the auxiliary verb. Okay, when we will change into indirect speech. And second thing, the word that is not used between reporting verb and reported speech. That is not used between reporting verb and reported speech as a conjunction. Okay, and number third, question mark is not used in indirect speech. When we will change this sentence into indirect, question mark also removed. Okay, he said to me. He said change into asked. I have already told about this. What? Say change into ask. Says change into asks. And said change into asked. When the your reported speech subject will start auxiliary verb. Okay, this is your auxiliary verb now. If in the sentence your sentence is start with auxiliary verb in reported speech, then you convert into what? Don't use the here that. We will use here what? If or whether. Place of that. That के स्थान पर हम क्या यूज करेंगे? If और whether का यूज करेंगे. किसमें? जब आपके क्वेश्चन रिपोर्टेड स्पीच में ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब से आपके क्वेश्चन पूछे गए होंगे तो उसमें हम दैट के प्लेस पर इफ और वेदर का यूज करेंगे. ही सेड टू मी. आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड अबाउट ना सेड चेंज इनटू आस्क्ड. अगर आपको क्वेश्चन से मिलता है, ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब से क्वेश्चन मिलता है, तो ये आपका दैट के प्लेस पर इफ और वेदर का यूज होगा. एंड ही सेड टू मी, सेड चेंज इनटू asked. Now change it. He asked what? Me. Okay, he asked me. Is it clear? He asked me, do you like music? Do you like music? And all the tense and all the reported speech tense you change into as usual. जैसे आपने डायरेक्ट इनटू इनडायरेक्ट में आपने जैसे आपको रूल बताया गया, वो सब सारे रूल्स आपके यहाँ पर अप्लाई होंगे. बस आपको दैट कंजंक्शन दैट नहीं यूज करना है, और इनडायरेक्ट चेंज होते समय कॉमा और इन्वर्टेड कॉमा रिमूव करना है, और क्या रिमूव करना है? क्वेश्चन मार्क रिमूव करना है. said to me, do you like music? This is your question. He asked me if he said to me, he asked me if you change into I like, change into according to your tense. This is past, this is present tense, na? So present change into past. I liked music. He asked me if I liked music. Is it clear? Said change into asked. Okay. He asked me if. This is the place of that. Conjunction that की जगह पे आपको क्या करना है? If or whether. What do you want? This is your wish. आप जो चाहे आप यूज कर सकते हो यहाँ पे. चाहे आप यूज if करो यूज, चाहे whether करो. He asked me if I liked music. Now second example. Now see the second example. I said to him, are you feeling well? I said to him, are you I said to him, are you feeling well? Are you feeling well? Firstly, identify the tense of the reported speech. Reported speech का tense आप पहचान लिए हो. And I have already told about to said. Said के बारे में मैंने पहले भी आपको बता दिया है. अब आप उसको learn कर लो अच्छे से. Say change into ask. Says change into asks. And said change into asked. Okay. Now change into indirect speech. I asked. Very good. I asked, and after that I asked him. I asked him, are you feeling well? Are you? You change into I asked him. You change into he. I asked him if and whether. I asked him if he. This is present continuous tense. Then he, present continuous tense change into past continuous tense. He was feeling well. Very easy. I said change into asked him object. If your if and whether if you change into he. Are recording our past of are was feeling well. Okay. I asked him if he was feeling well. Clear? Now next third example. He said to me, have you taken breakfast? Have you taken breakfast? have you taken breakfast? Change it. He asked me. After that, whether he asked me whether, you change into I, have change into past, had. He asked me whether I had taken. I had taken breakfast. This is your third example. He said to me, have you taken breakfast? He asked me whether I had taken breakfast. Is it clear? If any sentence, the reported speech will start auxiliary verb, then you will use here place of that, if or whether. All of you know about auxiliary verb. आप सबको पता है auxiliary verb means क्या है. All auxiliary verb and the helping verb is same. Auxiliary verb is, am, are, was, were, can, could, shall, may, might, ought to. All these verbs are your auxiliary verb. Okay. So all of you listen very carefully and keep in your mind all the auxiliary verbs. Okay. And learn also the rule of direct and indirect, how to change into indirect speech for interrogative question sentences. I have already told there are two types of questions. First, yes or no type questions, and second, WH questions. Okay. To change question which can be answered into indirect speech, if or whether is used before the question indirect speech, and rules for change question sentence are same as for change in normal tenses in indirect speech, but sentence not start with the auxiliary verb in the indirect speech. Okay. And second thing, the word that is not used between the reporting verb and reported speech. And third, question mark is not used in indirect speech. This is clear? And I think all of you understand about this. सबको अच्छे से समझ में आ गया होगा. Fourth example, he said to me. Fourth example is, he said to me, he said to me, can you write a letter? This is also your auxiliary verb. Firstly, identify the nature of the sentence, and after that, identify the nature of sentence, and after that, see here what is the tense of the reported speech. Reported speech का tense क्या है, ये आप इतना समझ लिए. And also know how to change said, how change into said, said change into asked. सेट कैसे चेंज होगा, सेट किस में चेंज होगा, सेट आस्क में चेंज हो जाएगा. ये आपको पहले भी बता दिया गया है. तो आप इसके आधार पे एकदम आपको एकदम वो रहो. आप ये ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब से आपका क्वेश्चन पूछा गया, इट मींस आपको यस और नो टाइप का क्वेश्चन है, और यस और नो टाइप का क्वेश्चन है तो इसमें आप इफ और वेदर का यूज करोगे प्लेस ऑफ दैट के स्थान पर. ठीक है. अब इसमें आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए. ही सेट चेंज हो गया आपका आस्क्ड में, ही आस्क्ड मी हो गया. अब आपने आज को जाना ही है, ये आपकी ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब है. अब ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब के पहले आप क्या यूज करोगे, इफ एंड वेदर यूज करोगे. ही आस्क्ड मी वेदर. ओके, ही आस्क्ड मी वेदर I. You change into I. Can change into could. I could write a letter. Okay. Inverted comma removed. Question removed. And reporting verb and report between the reporting verb and reported speech whether is used. ठीक, ये आपको सब इसमें तीनों रूल बता दिए गए कि आपको क्या क्या इसमें क्या कैसे करना है. आई थिंक दिस इज वेरी क्लियर. ही आस्क्ड मी वेदर आई कुड राइट अ लेटर. ओके.